The port is a huge catalyst for economic development. Businesses locate near great ports, and we have a global reputation for being a great port. We're a top 100 container port, and we need to stay in that league and continue to grow.
States with great ports are the states that are going to grow and have a thriving economy. Ports help states attract manufacturing.
Manufacturers, they want to be close to a deepwater port. And the deepwater port could be in Savannah, Jacksonville, Wilmington, or Virginia. If it's in Virginia, then the folks in Virginia experience the economic opportunities of having new manufacturing jobs, the spin-off jobs from those manufacturers locating there. And I want those jobs created in South Carolina. I mean, for goodness sakes, we just announced that Volvo is locating a manufacturing plant in South Carolina. We just announced that Daimler is going to be building vans here in North Charleston. For goodness sakes, Boeing, one of the reasons they came here is because we have access to a deepwater port.
We get 800 BMWs a day are shipped down here by train 7 days a week. On Columbus Street, there's anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 cars on the ground at any one time. We'll get 3 to 4 car carriers that come in a week, and we'll load, I'm guessing, 600 to 800, 900 cars per ship. When Volvo comes online, I understand they're going to do 100,000 in the first year. So that'll just increase the number of car carriers coming in from 4 to probably 6 or 7 a week. But BMW is doing about 300,000 cars a year, of which we would ship 270 of them out of Charleston.
We recently redid our economic impact statement with the help of the University of South Carolina, and the numbers were pretty telling.
The economic impact of the South Carolina Ports Authority on the state of South Carolina as a whole is approximately $53 billion annually in total economic output, and that represents all of the goods and services that can be traced back to the Ports Authority either directly or indirectly. That's associated with about 187,000 jobs and roughly $10 billion worth of labor income for South Carolinians.
As far as our harbor is concerned, we're in the biggest new building trend for container ships ever in the history of the industry. So by the end of 2017, 60% of the ship capacity on the water will be bigger than 7,500 TEUs, so bigger than can go through the Panama Canal today. So having a harbor that has very few restrictions in handling those ships is decisive in ship lines staying on time and deciding to call a port.
We've been in the game for a long time here. We've got a 45-foot channel here, and we're getting pushed to the limits, getting ships in and out right now. And with the deepening we're getting ready to do, we're going to be the deepest port on the east coast of the United States for traffic. The size of the channel hadn't changed since I started, but the size of the ships have. So just navigating them, keeping them inside the dotted lines like you see on a chart, or between the buoys is a real challenge.
As far as the number and size of ships coming into East Coast ports, what we think is going to happen is there'll be the same number of ships handling the cargo and assimilating the growth, but those ships will be larger. And those ships need to call harbors that have the least amount of restrictions because they have to stay on time, they have to make appointments to pass the Panama Canal. So the deepening of our harbor allows ships to come in fully loaded without tidal restriction.
You know, we started this process probably back in 2010 to 2011 timeframe, and we knew that we had to respond to keep our state competitive. So if you're not responsive to industry trends that are global in nature, you become irrelevant. So Charleston and South Carolina are a top 10 port in the United States, and it takes significant investment and high productivity and customer satisfaction to keep you there. And all of that helps grow South Carolina's economy.
The manufacturers are very supportive. Our legislature has been extremely supportive of the port. They certainly get the economic case behind the port, and they actually volunteered the idea of the state putting aside the state share of the harbor deepening project of $300 million in 2012.
The port exists for the betterment of all of South Carolina, and I think we need to understand that. And I think that members of the General Assembly now understand that in ways that perhaps they didn't 6 or 7 years ago.
So we talked to all of our business community. We initiated the project with the Corps of Engineers. We kept our state legislature and our governor involved, and we talked to our congressional delegation. And all of those partners is what helped us get this project approved in 3 to 4 years, which is an amazing time frame.
I think the support has been unwavering, and it's been key to getting this project done, because the Army Corps does a number of projects and they want to make sure they can finish the project with the proper funding.
And the Corps of Engineers re-engineered their process to allow the study to get going. And through that, we originally had a study that was estimated to cost $19 million, and it got dropped down to $11 million. And what was originally going to take 8 years took 3. So it's a great success story for not only the regulatory and civil works process for the Corps of Engineers, but also for the state of South Carolina, because we're not sitting around studying a project that would take too long.
The next 5 years are our most decisive 5 years. We have to invest about $1 billion in existing terminals and building the first phase of a new terminal at the former Navy base, now called the Hugh K. Leatherman Sr. Terminal. We have to realize our harbor deepening project. We have to make further progress with intermodal container rail. The Palmetto Railways is building an intermodal container transfer facility to support our growth. So we have to continue investing. We have to grow our cargo base so that we have more cargo flowing through our port.
One of the interesting things that I get asked all the time is, why should I care about the port? What does the port do for me? And so one of my favorite questions that I like to ask people is, did you have a cup of coffee this morning? And if the answer to that question is yes, then the port helped you already, because there are no coffee beans that are grown here in the United States. So if you think about the things that you have on, your clothing, or the things that you consume, if they're not grown or manufactured here in the U.S., you need a port to help you and to help your family. So that's how we try to relate to the people of South Carolina.
They should care about our port because the jobs in every South Carolina county, you can find a manufacturer there or some other industry that does business with the port or is there because of the port. So when jobs are created, when wealth is created, your grocery stores do better, your convenience stores do better, people are employed, we're able to have an expanded tax base, which means better schools. It just means all around a better way of life for those that live in our state. The last component would be ensuring that our interstate network and our primary U.S. highways that connect all our manufacturers to our port, if we put the funds there and expand the network like we need to, then we will be leading the South Atlantic states in job growth and in opportunities.
The inland port that we built in Greer, South Carolina, starting in November 2013, has been hugely successful. I projected when we completed it that we would reach about 100,000 rail container lifts in 5 years' time. We're already almost at that level today in 2 years' time. So it's been a significant catalyst for existing clients in the area, and more importantly, it's a future distribution center location for new clients. The inland port is designed for growth. We can pave an additional 30 acres. I anticipate that we'll do that in our next fiscal year. It will be time to do that. Equally, I think there's potential for more inland ports, so we're on the lookout for other locations that could be inland ports. That's totally conditioned on whether there's a cargo base in the area and whether there's a train service, basically, to make it successful.